First off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitting masters, lecturers, and everyone here today for the opportunity to talk about this, the purpose of Dao. Okay, so this is, the Dao之宗旨. Okay, so this is, you can say purpose of Dao or the aim of Dao or the objective of Dao, right? And this is important because, well, Dao, I mean, we've talked about Dao cultivation, and that's all part of this, I guess. But yeah, it relates to us as humans, how we relate to the Dao, how we are supposed to express the Dao, and how we're supposed to really live in this world amongst each other. Okay. All right. Okay. So first, to cultivate Dao, we must know the purpose of Dao, right? Otherwise, if we don't know the purpose of Dao cultivation, then we are just blindly following, whatever we think and believe, whatever views we might have. We might be acting arrogantly, kind of like a blind person riding a blind horse in the middle of the night and approaching a deep abyss ahead, okay, but not knowing to avoid that danger, right? So there are a lot of practices. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge out there and various methods and practices, but we can pursue those things. If we pursue those things, it's not, that isn't really the true purpose of our being here. Okay, so it can lead to danger. The maybe not immediate danger, but definitely the danger of not transcending birth and death. Okay, so eventually, I mean, yeah, we may do great things with our knowledge and whatever else we learn in this life, other types of knowledge, but ultimately it's not going to get us anywhere in terms of, well, we're not going to transcend. Okay, so we still have to, then we're going to come back again, and perhaps we could be in a worse situation in the next life. Okay, so anyways, so yeah, so cultivating Dao, yeah, there is a a direction, a purpose, an aim, a goal, an objective. Okay, so and we have to know what that is, right? Especially as Dao cultivation in this time that we are in now, in the 21st century, is different than cultivation was in past centuries and past millennia. Okay. You can say maybe the ultimate purpose, of course, the ultimate purpose of cultivating Dao is to transcend birth and death. Okay, so, but that's kind of like, it's kind of far off, okay, but while we're still living here, you can say that there's a different purpose, right? So the cultivation is different in different time periods. So in the past, the cultivation is not the same as it is today. So we should not really get stuck on those methods of practice from the past and say, oh, that's it, and that's the way we do it now. Times are a little bit different. All right. So in this, what we call this white era that we're in now. Okay, so Confucius says, basically education, right, or teachings is for everyone, right, regardless of their status, right? 有教无类. Okay, so Confucius believed that everyone should be able to get proper education, be able to learn the principles, learn how to be a proper human being. Okay. And he's saying learning anything other than the proper teachings is harmful. No, obviously, today, well, of course, we go to school today, we learn a lot of stuff. There's a lot and get our education, standard education. It's not necessarily harmful. I mean, those are basically tools, right? Where you learn mathematics, science, literature, all these things. They're all tools for us to use. So the question is really, how do we use that knowledge, right? That's what's important. Now, and then beyond that, but there are other things. So here you can say proper teachings also refers to the Tao, the moral principles of the Tao, or the true principles of the Tao. Okay, but so whereas we can say that the Tao is for everyone. Okay, the Tao is for everyone. The Tao, just like this education is for everyone, the Tao is for everyone. It doesn't really discriminate, but not everyone is ready for the Tao. Okay, so that means what that means is not everyone either has that affinity or that affinity is not mature or ripe for them to accept the Tao and to receive the Tao. Okay, so that's just that's the reality. All right, because it depends on their past karma and all that stuff. Now, some people, they also pursue other types of teachings or practices, like the heterodox practices that I talked about in past classes, geomancy, alchemy, certain types of kung fu and meditation, right? Or even they join, certain deviant cults. And all right, so even if we don't go that far, right, our education today is all about the material world. There is no moral education in public schools because it is considered the purview of religion, or that's within the scope of religious teaching. And at least in the US, right, we have a separation of church and state, and therefore, so what we learn in school is, or at least public school, doesn't really teach us how to be, it doesn't teach moral conduct, moral behavior, right? So that's kind of what's lacking here, right? And and so what the Tao and religions, yeah, they're supposed to teach us about that, and then so the Tao is also okay. So in our life education, right, what's really lacking is having this conviction in the Buddha nature, or that our true nature as the master of our life. Maybe in the Tao, we know about this, and perhaps in Buddhism or Taoism, but in general, the religions don't really talk about that as much. They just say, follow the precepts, right? Follow the commandments. That's it. Don't really recognize, or people don't realize that they have that Buddha nature, that true nature. And that's also what's lacking, is having a foundation in moral truth and principles. Okay, so obviously we, in society today, we don't really, that's not part of the standard education. All right, and so you can see that in society where it's heading. There's where's the morality, and you see all sorts of things that people do that go against the conscience, go against what's propriety, right? Okay, so so you can say that Tao and well, religion, although they are supposed to teach us about that, right? But they seem to, well, doesn't seem to be successful. Let's put it that way, right? So you still have all this stuff, this immorality going on, despite the fact that religions are very widespread. Why is that? So religions cannot do it completely, or at least not today. Okay, religions as they are today, they are lacking something, right? They are really lacking the essence, the truth of the truth. Okay, all right. Now, oh yeah, just just wanted to say, yeah, today, even though we're talking about this purpose of Dao, but today it's going to be a little bit more philosophical today, and then the next week it'll be a little bit more practical, I guess. But yeah, today it's focused more on the philosophical aspect. So Tao itself has no background, no function, no organization, no bad thoughts, no conflict society, etc., right? But it is natural and forthcoming, a bright path. So really, the Tao, it's we can't really speak of the essence of the Tao, but we can, as human beings, right? So as human beings, everything is part of the Tao, right? And we have the Tao within us. We have that Buddha nature. Okay, so that's what makes us special. Well, all sentient beings have the Buddha nature. Okay, so that's what makes life very special. Okay, now, so the question is, we can, because we have the Tao, we have to, well, first of all, recognize that and realize it. Then we can then follow it, right? We can manifest it, right? So the purpose of Tao, as passed down through the ages, is to let people manifest their conscience, right? Become aware and awakened and know self-restraint so that their conduct and character can conform to the original purpose of Tao in order to achieve the ultimate goal of transcendence or spiritual liberation, right? So yeah, so that is the ultimate goal, of course. But while we're still here in the world, we have to deal with our lives and the people around us. Okay, so that's where our character and conduct is very important. We follow our conscience, and you can say that actually, if we do all that, then the natural result is to be able to transcend and attain this spiritual liberation. Okay. All right. Okay, so there was one time the grand predecessor, Lao Chenan, he gave a lecture, and he asked, do you know? Okay, so in Chinese, it said, 知不知道, right? Do you know? So 知道means to know, basically. Although it seems kind of redundant if you break it down, because 知 means to know, to realize, and then Dao is, well, it's Dao. so interesting that you put those together. It generally means just to know, but to know what, right? To know. Okay, so Lao Chenan says, do you know, right? 知不知道? And it says, what do you know? Okay, so nobody responded. Then he continued, you have already received the Tao, so why don't you know? Right? So then he turned around and drew a circle on the blackboard, and within the circle, he placed a dot. Then he said, Tao is the origin and source of the entire cosmos and everything in it. Tao gives birth to and is the Lord and Master of the heavens, earth, and all things. Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is how we generally just talk about the Tao. It's like, yep, it's the, or you can say it's God. Okay, so it's the creator. Create everything. Everything comes from the Tao, right? Everything is contained within the Tao. The whole universe and all life as well. So that's kind of like the big view of what the Tao is, the big picture Tao. But okay, so you can say, yeah, I mean, Tao, it's the essence, the truth, the way, the will. There's will or force, right? It's also the origin or source, the Lord and Master of all, right? But it encompasses these two aspects, stillness and motion. Okay, stillness and motion. You can say that these two, stillness and motion, which on the surface are opposites, and right, I mean they're mutually exclusive, right? If when you have stillness, you don't have motion. When you have motion, you don't have stillness. But actually, it's not like that. In reality, they coexist, right, at the same time. So they're codependent and concomitant. They exist at the same time, and they you can say they kind of depend on each other. There's this interplay between the two, stillness and motion. Right? We talked a little bit about that in terms of the kato last time. When we're doing the bowing, there is both stillness and motion, stillness of the mind and motion of the body, etc. Okay. One way to think about it is like there's in physics, we learn about potential energy and kinetic energy, right? They're both energy. When there's potential energy means it's like stillness, right? The energy is there. There's that potential for something to happen, but it's right at that point it's not happening. So that's potential energy. Then it can transform into kinetic energy when there's motion. All right. So it's a similar idea that you have potential and kinetic energy. But they still exist. The energy is still there, right? Regardless, these are like different, you can say different aspects or different forms of the energy. Okay, so it's kind of something similar to that. Okay. Now I guess in the Tao, I mean, we sometimes we say this 一窍通, 窍窍通, and then 一理通, 万理测. Okay, so basically it says that one portal, the chao is a portal, right? A portal is open, and then all portals are open. So you can say this is the gateway to all to all other gateways or doors or whatever, portals. And it's kind of like in Lord of the Rings, right? The one ring to rule them all. Okay, so that portal is the portal of all portals, right? So one principle, when the one principle is clear or understood, then all principles are clear. So there is this one principle, you can say one truth, from which all truths or all principles come from. They all derive from that. And so, but if you are clear about that one truth or principle, then everything else is clear. It can be understood. Okay, so this is talking about the Tao. And then so we say, 一理万殊, and then 万殊归一理. Okay, so one truth gives rise to all things, and all things return to one truth. All right, so this is, and actually, so in terms of, when we're talking about like Tao and religion, right? Tao is this one truth that gives rise to all religions, and all religions eventually will return to that one truth. Okay, so that's how it's going to, relate to this. Now, the movement of Heavenly Dao, right, is the interplay of stillness and motion. The absolute void or reality gives rise to the Taiji, which gives rise to the Liang Yi, okay, and then the 5 elements, the 8 trigrams, and all things. Okay, so the Liang Yi is actually, that yin and yang symbol that we typically show. I mean, although usually we say that that's Taiji, but Taiji is actually the undifferentiated whole of that before it becomes that differentiated yin and yang. Okay, so but and then the 5 elements come from that, and then that's basically you have matter, right? Forms, matters, and then everything kind of, I guess, follows the principles, of the 8 trigrams of the I Ching. Okay, and then everything comes about from those relationships. You can say they're talking about kind of certain relationships of things. Now, so today, we have, well, I assume if you've received the Dao, right, we received the point transmission from the enlightened master. I opened up the heavenly portal. The so-called one portal is opened, all portals are open, right? The one principle, one truth, principle is clear and all principles are clear. Or you can say, it penetrates or pervades all the principles. And so the movement, okay, so, right, okay. So the Tao is true, the principle is true, and the mandate, you can say, or the will or destiny of heaven is also true. For example, hair our hair, it grows and then we cut it, but then it continues to grow after that, right? Same with our fingernails or toenails. They grow, we cut it, and then but they still continue to grow. So this is a natural phenomenon. Right? Tao is natural. It follows a natural rhythm and cycle. It is neither unconventional nor new. Right? It's been around for forever. Okay, since before time, even, right? Since before the Big Bang. And it's but it's not unconventional either, because it's everywhere. It is nature. Nature is part of the Tao. Okay, it is. So it's nothing unusual, right? It has been around since the beginning, right? For time and space. Okay, so all right. So the goal or purpose of Tao. Right. For the sake of universal salvation of the three realms, which during this white era, right? So our holy teachers, Suzun and Sumu, our 18th patriarch, matriarch, with heaven's mandate, created a blueprint for world harmony in the white era. All right. So the blueprint is this, what we call the goal or purpose of Dao, right? The Dao之宗旨. Okay. You can say that that's kind of like a blueprint of how, if we practice according to that blueprint, then we can create a world of harmony, okay, as envisioned by Confucius. Now, it gives us a direction for cultivation and practice in daily life, right, to achieve the Tao of heaven by achieving the Tao of humanity, right? So we say, well, the Tao of heaven, that's this Tao that we talk about. But to achieve that, basically to transcend and return to heaven, we have to achieve the Tao of humanity, which is, if we follow this blueprint and we cultivate according and practice accordingly, then that's how we can achieve the Tao of humanity. Okay, so this is kind of a prerequisite, a requirement, achieving this Tao of humanity to achieving the Tao of heaven. All right, so we can't just say, oh yeah, I received the Tao. I'm generally a good person, and then when I die, I'm gonna transcend, return to heaven. Maybe we didn't. In that case, we probably didn't quite completely, achieve the Tao of humanity. All right. The other thing is this. Dao之宗旨is also fulfills Maitreya's vow to create a pure land on earth. Okay, so that would be the world of great, the world of harmony. Okay, so all right. So Tao is cultivation and practice. It's action, not idle talk. So it's not just talking about it, talking about the principles. It's putting it into action, right? Changing our lives, transforming our lives, and transforming the lives of others. Okay, so that is part of the cultivation and practice. So we have, so there's a saying, right? To get up, in Chinese anyways, it's just, to get up and take action is better than to sit and talk, okay? To walk a foot is better than to know 10 feet, okay? So, even though you might know, what's 10 feet ahead, but unless you take a step, it's kind of useless. So we have to act on it. Tao cultivators must take concrete actions to cultivate practice, and participate, right? Okay, and then we cultivate while participating and participate while cultivating. Okay, so participate, I'm using this for ban dao. Okay, so sometimes we say ban dao, we say, oh, but it's really to kind of conduct the affairs of Dao. Okay, so I just say participate, to participate in the Dao, in the affairs of Dao. Okay. So yeah, so there are two things. I mean, cultivation, you can say, is self-cultivation, and then participating is then, so self-cultivation is kind of the internal, right? And then participating is kind of the external, participating in the Tao. Okay. And then so this is also this Dao之宗旨, this purpose of the Tao, or the goal of the Tao, is to realize Confucius' ideal of world harmony. Okay, the 理云大同. Okay. Now, if we want to go off, to be alone and meditate, to become a Buddha, or we believe that we don't have this heavenly mission, or just perform ordinary charity without awakening to the superior way, which is the way of the Tao, then we do not understand the purpose of Tao. If we cultivate and participate according to the purpose of Tao, even if we are not in the middle way, we will not be far from the Tao. Okay, so even if we kind of, go to a little bit of kind of extremes, but we're at least not too far, because we're participating and cultivating according to the purpose of Tao. So if we have the spirit of the old man, I guess spirit of this old man trying to move the mountain, okay, to train the next generation and carry out the Tao mission from generation to generation, then the goal of world harmony can be achievable, right? So obviously, that's why it's important, the teaching, right? The learning, the studying, and of course, the practice that goes along, the cultivation and practice that goes along with it. But also, we have to look to the future, right? The next generation, who's, I see, like in our temple, it's mostly older people, middle-aged, maybe middle-aged people and older. So what's going to happen when everyone here gets, old and eventually passes on? Who's going to continue this Tao, right? So it's important that we teach the next generation as well, and make sure that they can then carry on this mission, because, to achieve world harmony, that's not going to happen right away. It probably won't happen in my generation. Okay, I don't know. I don't know if I'll see that, but if people continue to spread the Tao, people cultivate and practice, then it could be achievable. Okay, now I'm not saying that the whole entire world population will be involved in that. This world of harmony, there are other factors, there are other things that's going on. There could be war, there could be famine, there could be all sorts of things, natural disasters, that a lot of people could perish, but eventually what's left will be the people, those who are cultivators in the Tao. And then at that point, you can say there would be a world of harmony, right? Okay. And so this is just for reference here. This is what the ideal world harmony is. It says, when the perfect order prevails, the world is like a home shared by all. Right? So this is one earth. Right? This is one home for all of us. Hopefully, we can share it and not destroy it, not destroy ourselves in the process. Okay. Now, virtuous and worthy men are elected to public office, which we that's kind of lacking today, right? And capable men hold posts of gainful employment in society. Okay, it's not just men. Okay, men and women, but in these cases, but so there won't be unemployment, right? Peace and trust among all men are the maxims of living. So everyone lives in peace and harmony, and everyone trusts each other. Right? All men love and respect their parents and children, as well as parents and children of others. So there's, you can say there's respect, there's love, there's like filial piety. Okay, the aged are cared for. So the elderly, right? Today you see, there's even the people in the elderly who are in nursing homes, at least they're being cared for to a certain extent, although that's not ideal either. That's not really what is meant here is like really usually it's still cared for by their family. Okay. But of course society, in this case, the government would also help. But yeah, today, there's a lot of elderly who really are not being cared for. Okay, even I guess their children, if they have children, they don't care for them. All right, that's very sad. So adults have employment. Okay, the young are well nourished and educated, right? So the children or other young people, right? No one's going to go hungry, right? Everyone gets an education. The widowers and the handicapped and those who find themselves alone are all cared for, right? So every man and woman has an appropriate duty to perform within family and society. Right? So we all perform our respective duties in whatever role we have within the family and society. Okay, and again, this would be according to the ethical, moral, and ethical rule, principles. Okay, a sense of sharing displaces the effects of selfishness and materialism. Right. So today, unfortunately, it's all about materialism. Getting more of this, more of that, more money, and it's inherently, I would say that is inherently selfish. Okay, so but in this ideal world of harmony, it's about sharing. Okay, there's none of this selfishness about, I'm going to keep this to myself. I want more of this for myself, and I don't care about others. A devotion to public duty leaves no room for idleness. So yeah, we all feel a sense of responsibility, a duty towards society as a whole, towards others. Okay, it's not just for ourselves. Again, it's not selfish. Intrigues and conniving for ill-gotten gains are unknown, right? Again, without that selfish motives and scheming for things just to satisfy that self, that doesn't exist in such a world. Villains such as thieves and robbers do not exist, right? So everyone's a cultivator. Why would they want to steal things? Stuff doesn't belong to me, then I shouldn't take it. The door to every home need never be locked by day or night. Yeah, of course. So you can trust people. No one's going to try to steal anything. Okay, so these are the characteristics of an ideal world, the Commonwealth state. Okay, so we use Commonwealth state. Commonwealth state is one where the government is for the welfare and good of all the people, and it's by all the people. Okay, so that is the ideal society. It's not, we talk about democracy, but democracy is not the same thing. Okay, it's not this Commonwealth state. So, how do we achieve this ideal world of harmony, right? Past and current political systems of governance have failed to achieve it so far, right? I mean, haven't seen any country have, be a utopia. On one end of the spectrum, you have individual freedom to do things in their own self-interest, right? Such as in a democracy. And on the other hand, on the other end of the spectrum, you have a government that dictates what everyone should do. So you have authoritarian governments. Neither of these political systems work, okay, because one is based on selfish freedom and the other on compulsion, being forced to do things. Both try to achieve the ideal state through external means. See, that's the thing. They're all based on external things. Okay, so whether it's in a democracy and you have capitalism, where it's like, as long as you can achieve it, you can make the money, you can succeed, and you can get as much as you want, whatever. Okay, but it's kind of selfish motive, and it's based on the external stuff, material things. On the other hand, the other one is, you may have a governments, for example, socialism, communism is the idea there is based on, the government knows better, right? Knows to do the right thing, and everyone should follow. Well, I mean, they kind of force everyone to follow that. But unfortunately, so these are two extremes. When people are forced, to do things against their will, it's not. They're gonna reject that sometimes. Okay, so then you have revolt. Okay, but but it's all based on external. So whether it's the laws that they have, okay, that say, hey, you must do this, just like precepts. Okay, so the idea is that, hey, someone's telling you that you got to do this and you can't do this. Okay, so but ultimately, anything that's external is not going to last, right? What has to change is the will of the person, their heart and mind, right? So that's where supposedly religion was supposed to come in, but that's where definitely the Tao comes in. Okay. So the Tao addresses this by starting at the root, right? The individual conscience and moral character. When people act according to Tao, right, there is no such thing as freedom or enslavement. Okay, a government does not have to force the people to do or not to do, right? Because people will do what is proper and right, right? Okay, all right. So and then here the purpose of Tao. Okay, so this is the whole text of it. Right, so to respect heaven and earth, to follow. So the ideal world harmony is actually, it's basically a statement by Confucius saying that this is what the ideal world is like. All right, so it's just saying, okay, so you can say that this is the goal, this is the end result, all right, that he's looking for, hopefully that we're all looking for. Now, then the purpose of Tao is to achieve that goal, right? So that's why here you see it's these are all verbs, well, basically actions. Okay, so to respect heaven and earth, so we to follow the ways of the saintly, to love all nations and act with loyalty, to have a sincere character and to esteem the proper behavior, to be filial towards parents, to honor, respect, and uphold teachers and elders, to trust and be trustworthy of friends, to be harmonious with neighbors, to transform evil into good, to elucidate, or you could say to explain and understand the 5 human relationships and the 8 cardinal virtues, to spread the profound truth of the masters of the 5 religions, world religions, to scrupulously abide by the 4 pillars of ancient conduct and 5 constant virtues, to purify the heart and mind and wash away anxieties, to utilize the false forms to cultivate the true self, right? To restore oneself to its original natural state, right? To manifest the highest compassion of one's conscience and virtue, to establish oneself and help others establish themselves, right? To achieve and help others to achieve, to bring peacefulness into the world, to transform human hearts into good, to bring about world unity and harmony. Okay, so this is all these things that we should be doing to bring about this ideal world of world harmony, okay, that Confucius envisioned, like 2,500 years ago, right? So this is really the purpose of Dao. Okay, so I mean, we say, yeah, okay, you go to heaven, but before we go to heaven, this is what we're trying to achieve, right? And so this is very important in our cultivation and practice. All right, so let's talk about the spirit of this, the Dao之宗旨. I'll use the purpose of Dao, right? So to have conviction in Buddha nature as the master of our life, right? So people must understand Dao, receive the Dao, and study the true principles, right? So it's because, if people are not willing to even, know about the Dao or understand it, to receive the Dao, and then to study it, then, this is not going to happen. Remember, these two conditions here are lacking in today's society. And therefore, you could say our mission to propagate the Tao, to spread the Tao, is very important to achieving this. To establish foundation in moral truth and principles. Right, so people must cultivate and practice Tao, participate in Tao, ferry sentient beings so that they can give back to society, benefit sentient beings, and have deep empathy and compassion with the suffering of others. Right, so in the practice, right, when we do the practice to cultivate and participate in the Tao, we ferry sentient beings. Okay, so you can say that's our way of giving back to society. Okay, so religions, they obviously they teach charity. Okay, so obviously, I mean, we also encourage that, of course, but charity is in terms of, for the most part, is in terms of material means, but we're kind of talking about something even more important than that, to ferry sentient beings. Okay, so it's not just helping them materially, but to help them spiritually. All right, that's more important, because ultimately, if they then are able to cultivate and practice the Tao, then they can also transcend birth and death. Okay, so as we practice and are involved in society and helping and benefiting sentient beings, other people, then we would have this deep empathy and compassion for their suffering. Okay, so we can understand the suffering that sentient beings have, and that can also be, of course, a motivation force for us to help them. So the essence of the spirit is in the truth or true principles and in clarifying the perspectives. Okay, so this is what our holy matriarch Sumu, okay, says. Right, the many religions. Right, the many religions of the world each have their own way and method of perception and understanding of the truth, right? But fundamentally, the truth or true principles are at the essence of all religions. So despite what we see of religions today, they were built, the religions were built on a foundation of that truth and the true principles. Okay. Now the problem is today, religions, the way it's practiced or maybe even taught, is is kind of removed from that. And so maybe they are kind of missing in terms of their teaching and the practice, the missing that truth and the true principles, missing that essence. Okay. So it's kind of like, the purpose of Dao is kind of like the eyes of religion. Okay. So what does that mean? Basically, if we say religions are like a dragon, so let's say you draw or you sculpt this dragon, the purpose of Dao is the eyes of the dragon. Another way is it's kind of like providing the finishing touches to it, bringing it to life, bringing that dragon to life. Okay, so really the Dao today, today's practice of the Dao is to, you could say, completing, if you will, completing or fulfilling the original intent of the religions. Okay. And it's we happen to be in I guess it's the Dharma ending age. We talked about that before, the Dharma ending age, and it's where things are chaotic, even in religions. And so, why? Because really they've lost that essence. Okay, they lost the Tao. They lost, and so now that's why the Tao is available in this time period, in this white era, to carry out that mission of universal salvation of the three realms. Okay, so it is to complete that, basically, you could say what the religion started, okay, to finish what the religion started, okay, because unfortunately religions, as we can see where they're going, is not going to finish the job. It's not going to fulfill the original, you can say, mission or intent, all right? So Holy Matriarch also said, the egoism and mutual exclusionism, or you can say, they're just rejecting of by religions, right, has caused conflict and wars among them, right? Because basically every religion is saying, hey, mine is superior, my God is superior, okay? Yours is a false God, right? There's only one God, and that's ours, right? My God is the one, and that led to many conflicts and wars over the millennia. Okay, so this is the superstition and foolishness of religions. Right? This is also a phenomenon of using their own perspective and beliefs as the standard without understanding the essential truth, and is contrary to Tao and the true principles. Right. So basically, they've taken you could say there's this selfish or this self-righteous attitude to say, hey, we're right, you're wrong. I mean, unless you believe in us, you're wrong, okay, in what we believe in. Okay, so but that's really not the original way, what was really taught by the founders of the religions. That's not, because what was taught by the founders of religions was the Tao, the true principles. Unfortunately, something got lost, maybe lost in the translation, but it was definitely lost over time, that each generation of followers, they didn't have the wisdom, right, to truly understand the truth and the true principles, and maybe partly because they didn't practice it as well either, all right, in the cultivation. Okay, so everybody knows that the essence of religions is truth, right? But opinions and beliefs are divided on the question, what is the truth, though? So, right, they all have their own view of what the truth is, okay, or what the true principles are. So the founders of the world religions were able to express the true principles in a way that we can understand and practice. Unfortunately, the followers did not necessarily have the wisdom, sincerity, and attainment to explain or interpret the true principles correctly. This led to the idea of self-supremacy, exclusion or rejection, and conflict and wars. Right? So over many generations, the true meaning, the essence was lost, right? Including the true practice and cultivation. So that is really why religions are, the state of, you can see what the state of religions are today. And it's unfortunate, but that's what happens to every religion. Okay, it's starting with the Tao, but over time that it becomes religion. So we have a saying that, eventually this Tao what we have today, the Tao, becomes like a religion. Why? Because over time, as that mandate is lost, okay, for one, that's also an important thing. If we lose this mandate to propagate the Tao, and along with that, we lose those who are very virtuous, those who have that wisdom to know what that truth is. And so again, that's what happened. It just follows the same path of what happened to religions. Okay, so while we have the Tao right now, it's very important that we try to understand it. While maybe we have very limited channeling these days, but there are still, over the years, many channelings and scriptures, teachings. Okay, so they are trying to teach us the truth and the true principles. And so if we can use that and learn that, we should study it to make sure that we are on the same page as, what the saints and sages and Buddhas are on, okay, in terms of the truth and the true principles. Then we won't have any problems in our cultivation and practice. Okay, the only, the risks, or what's going to happen in the future with future generations, obviously that's not, we can't really say, but we know it's generally going to head in the direction that, just like religions headed in. But hopefully, the world of harmony can be established before that, before it completely, is lost. Okay. Okay, so we are in a time when religion has lost its essence, its true purpose. Right? During the White Era, Tao will complete or fulfill the original true purpose of religions. Okay, so that's earlier we said the Yili Wansu, and then Wansu Gui Yili. Okay, so the truth, or the Tao, right, gives rise to many religions. All religions must return to the truth, or the Tao. Okay, so but this, we'll clarify this a little bit later. It doesn't mean that religions, have to become the Tao. But okay. Holy Matrix says, although religions have conflicts and foolish conduct, right, it does not affect the inherent nature of the religious contract in any way. Okay, so, because that original intent, or what that religion was based upon, is still the truth. Okay. The spirit and essence of religion is pure, right, and sincere. However, this spirit has been obscured, or you can say, it's covered up by the forms, right? So whether it's the words of the scriptures, okay, views, interpretations, practices, right? But the spirit is the eternal and unchanging respect and love, and is only waiting to be awakened. All right, so the teachings, the religions. So we can look at various the scriptures of the religions, and they will interpret it in their way. But from the Tao, once we understand the Tao, we understand the true principles. Our interpretation will be different from how the religions interpret them. Okay, so because again, if they don't have a grasp of what the underlying truth is, then for the most part, they are only interpreting it superficially. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and so religions today are it's a lot about the forms, really, the tradition, the practice, the way they do things, their ceremonies, and all that, and it's kind of losing the essence and the spirit. Okay, so religions have their own superstition and foolish attachments because this what this says here. It says, without an enlightened master to teach us, there can be no advancement in wisdom, right? So the enlightened master has that prajna wisdom, right? It has that wisdom to understand, to know that truth. But for most of us, we don't have that wisdom, okay, to be able to know that truth. And so if the enlightened master, if we aren't taught by the enlightened master, then we're not going to really understand the truth. And that's what's happening in religions. Okay, so today, you have, the pastors, priests, whoever. They're teaching the religion, but they aren't really fully enlightened, and so they don't necessarily have that wisdom to be able to teach the underlying truth, right? So this is why religions are unable to escape from the limitation of forms, right? Because again, the emphasis is more on the forms today than in the past, right? So in the time of Buddha or in the time of Jesus, Lao Tzu, Confucius, it's the forms were kind of ancillary. It's just kind of secondary. It's really the principles of the truth were the most important thing. But today it's kind of the other way around because, again, people don't understand what that truth is. The Tao is fair and impartial and is not transmitted within religions. Okay, so that's now, or it's transmitted outside of religion. So the religions today, right, they're not transmitting the Tao. They're not propagating the Tao. They're just continuing some kind of a religious tradition, right, of practice, of the forms. Okay, now the power and authority of Tao is in heaven. Okay, it's held by heaven. So the mandate of heaven is also in the timing, right? So if the time is not right, the Tao is not available. Right? If the people have no affinity, the Tao is not transmitted. So this is important. That this timing of being, you can say, being in the right place at the right time to be able to encounter, hear about, and receive the Tao. Okay, so we happen to be in that time, even though, okay, so even during present day, we are in this white era where we have universal salvation, where the Tao is openly propagated, but still there are many places that do not have the Tao, right? And they've probably never heard of it. So you can say that maybe at this moment in time that they still don't have that affinity, even though the time is right, they're not in the right place, right? Holy Teacher actually explained this one saying where there are these 4 difficulties in basically encountering and receiving Tao. So one is, if it's translated directly, it says, well, if you're not born, in Chinese, then you would have difficulty. But actually, what Holy Teacher explained is that it just means that if you aren't in the right place and time, where you don't encounter Tao, then it'll be difficult. Okay, so that's really what that means. Okay, so Holy Matrix says, the practice of the White Era is the true tradition of the Great Tao and was descended in response to the mandate of heaven. Therefore, it is the Great Tao tradition of the true heaven's mandate, the transmission or lineage and the heart dharma, and accomplished by way of the efficient tool of the true teachings of Confucius and Mencius. So the teachings of Confucius and Mencius, well, basically Confucian philosophy, if you will, or code of conduct, is very important. It is very practical, right? And that is what guides us today as Tao cultivators of this white era, is practicing those principles the teachings of Confucius mentions. Okay. Okay. So the secret of the saints and sages, right, will blossom in this white era. Right, the unenlightened masses will be awakened during universal salvation. The words, well, you can say the words Lao Mu Ci Bei. Okay, so the mercy of God is the most relevant expression of the current time, because it's because of this, again, this timing that this Tao is now universally available. Right, the more people who are presumptuous, right, think they are right, they're self-righteous in the face of the great Tao, the more superfluous and pretentious they are. So unfortunately, there are, whether they're in religions or academia or whatever, where they feel like they know better, they believe that their views are superior or correct or whatever, their knowledge is more superior, then that's, despite the fact that, there is this Tao, great Tao, and we talk about these principles, then that's kind of sad that unfortunately there are those people like that. All right, so the essence of religion is truth, and the substance of truth is in the purpose of Tao, right? Which is the original power and intent of Tao, of religion. Sorry. So the purpose of Tao is the essential spirit and function of all religious traditions. Teaching and Tao combine as one and complete the function. Okay. So here we say, right? 平收万教, right? 普度三草, 收元九六, and then 明心见性, 超生了死. Okay, so basically, says the practice of the white era and objective of Tao is for the peaceful so this 平收万教 is really, you can say it's the peaceful acceptance of all religions, right? Universal salvation of three realms, awaken to the true nature, and to transcend birth and death. And great compassion and mercy for all is the standard for all white era cultivators. Okay, well, let me see. This does not mean, okay, well, see, I haven't gotten to that, but actually that, sometimes this may be misinterpreted as saying, or the other one where all the religions return to the Tao or to the one, or this one this does not mean that the Tao is going to subjugate all religions, or it doesn't mean that. Okay. Okay. So now the key points of this Dao之宗旨says, to realize the true significance of Tao, right? We awaken to and behold the true nature, that's 明心见性, okay? And then we have to rectify the character and establish our destiny, or you could say our life or mission, okay? So to realize the true significance of Tao is that the Tao is within us, right? We have a clear understanding of and bear the responsibility of our own destiny and mission. Right? To realize the true significance of transcending birth and death, right? We have to take and fulfill vows to return to heaven, right? To realize the true significance of universal salvation of the three realms, each person is tightly connected to countless lives of sentient beings, right? Our affinity over the, millennia, many lifetimes, we have affinity with other people, and that affinity, we have to realize that we have that affinity, and so we can try to ferry them, okay? And that's part of the universal salvation, okay? So, and of the three realms, also in the spiritual realm as well, because of our ancestors, right? Our affinity to our ancestors, then also, as if we cultivate and achieve in the end, then they will also be able to achieve, right? So realize the true significance of returning to the source, right? This is talking about the Lao Sui Wan Cao. Okay, so heaven and man complete the final mission together, right? This is during this time, this white era. That is when basically we man is working together with heaven to accomplish that goal. Okay. Holy Matriarch says, the great Tao of the White Era, advocating for the peaceful acceptance of all religions, is actually promoting Buddha's proclamation of equanimity, right? Hoping all people recognize the essential truth of religion with an open mind of equanimity, so that equality, whatever, so that everyone can make a contract with the truth. After all, when Confucius declared that the implementation of the great Tao brings fairness or equality to the world, and the world of harmony, among other golden words, are the blessings of mankind and religion, right? So that phrase, that phrase of ping so wan jiao. Okay, so it's to view all religions as equal, really. Okay, that we can accept them. We can't say, oh, we are superior, and so you guys should not be practicing religion. All right, so that we can't say that. Okay, so we have to accept that, because they come from the truth as well. Okay, but having that type of open mind and a mind of equanimity is very important, right? We have to treat everyone equally, because on the other hand, also because everyone has the Buddha nature, so we treat everyone as if they are Buddha, right? And then that's how we can. So that's Confucius saying that if we can implement this great Tao to practice, to cultivate it, and then of course that would bring that fairness and equality to the world, right, and produce that world of great harmony, right? Okay. So and let's see. I think this is the Holy Matriarch is continuing to talk here, right? So it says the White Era practice teaches followers to embrace the idea that benevolence has no enemies. In basically when we practice fraternity and equality, and the concept that heaven, earth, and all things are one. Right? Understanding this, White Era cultivators can respect and love sentient beings as they respect and love themselves. Okay, so basically, if benevolence has no enemies, right? So we are kind, merciful, compassionate to everyone. No one's going to hate us. No one's going to want to harm us, right? That's what that means. And we accomplish that through fraternity or brotherly love, right? Love and viewing and equality, treating everyone equally. Okay. Okay, yeah. So right. So here's where Holy Matriarch kind of explains this Ping So Wan Jiao. Okay, so that's, remember, is definitely not about respecting only oneself, right? Let alone rejecting or attacking others, but is to let sentient beings equally recognize the truth, right? So it's not to say, oh, whatever particular religion is more superior or the Tao is more superior. It's not that. Okay, so and it's not about rejecting the others as well. So we basically want to let all sentient beings be able to recognize and know the truth. Right. Therefore, we must not must not misunderstand this phrase to mean the subjugation of all religions under Tao. Right. So that's a must remember. So our Holy Matriarch is reminding us, that's we don't feel like this Tao, because the Tao is superior, that we have to convert. That's what religions do. They convert people to their religion. We shouldn't be doing that. People, whether they can accept the Tao is based on their affinity. Okay. So the great Tao of the White Era is only truth, is basically, it's truth as respect, equanimity as the principle, morality as the standard, compassion as the mind, humility to accommodate the world, joy to liberate all suffering. In this way, can we achieve universal salvation of the three realms. Otherwise, self-righteousness, indignation, arrogance, slander, attacks, resentment, criticism, and differentiation all deviate from the Tao. Right? If we are selfish for self-benefit, then how can we awaken to the true nature and transcend birth and death? Okay, so yeah, so it's all these things that basically, there's respect, the well, it's basically respecting the truth and respecting everyone, the being, having the view of equality or equanimity, morality, right? Have compassion, humility to be able to accept, accommodate everyone, and joy to try to liberate, try to relieve those who are in suffering. Okay, so that's how we can try to accomplish that, the goal. Okay, so I'll do one last slide here. So benevolence has no enemies and is achieved through love and respectful deeds to getting along with others. Okay, so knowing the purpose of Tao is to pave the way for the world of great harmony, or world of harmony. All right. The most important thing for religious teaching is for people to understand and practice Tao. Right? Tao comes before religion. Without the teaching of Tao, there is only knowledge, and it obstructs our divine nature. It increases our self-pride and egoism. Okay, so knowledge without wisdom is kind of a dangerous thing. All right, so the Tao, although it's, we can't really say it can teach wisdom, but if we understand the true principles and we cultivate and practice, then we can gain that wisdom. Okay, and that's very important to realizing what is true. All right, so thoroughly correct our faults, get rid of our bad temper, our temperament, and be strict with ourselves. Okay, so we demand of ourselves, be strict on ourselves. That is really the only way to push ourselves to progress, to improve. Right, thoroughly understand our responsibilities and our mission as well in this world. Okay, so it is not just to transcend birth and death, but it is to work towards of course, to try to help implement the universal salvation and to work towards that world of great harmony. Learn to cultivate and manifest true principles. Okay, so the manifestation of true principles is the perfection of equanimity, fraternity, freedom, happiness, and harmony. Okay, so those are kind of like the key aspects of what we're trying to achieve. Okay, so because of the time, next week I guess we'll kind of dive into the actual what the purpose of Dao is telling us to do. Right. So with that said, I hope I asked if I had said anything wrong or not satisfactory. I asked the Buddhists for forgiveness. I also asked transmitters and lecturers for their corrections. Thank you.